How likely is what Prof is proposing, that the two gentlemen will sit at a table and negotiate which way forward on IEBC, given what Charles said, that the law is very clear now that he signed yesterday the amendments to the IEBC Act?
I understand what Charles is saying, that you can't do anything now, you don't have IEBC, the law is clear. But you see, the law is as clear as declaring Ruto the president. So he's the president. But where Raila is taking the ball is beyond that. You now go beyond the law. You now enter the arena of politics, which is what he's saying. We got ourselves at a point when politics had to be superior to the law. And that's how come we came up with the National Accord and implanted it into the Constitution of Kenya, allowing the coalition government. So this is perhaps where the Raila is taking the ball, beyond the simple provisions of the law, that where people will be forced to sit down. That then brings me to the issue of the handshake. You see, nobody ever wants a handshake. Nobody ever wants to share power. You must be a very strange creature to want to share power. Is like wanting to share your wife with another man, or your husband for that matter. It's not possible. So even in war, nations don't just start by signing peace. They wanakwarusana kwanza, then they sign peace. You see what I'm saying? Now, those who talk about the handshake in a cheap way, cheapening it, I really sympathize with them. Even again, those who are saying, if Raila, like my friend here, Prof, that if Raila had not gone into the handshake, he would be president. Fine. But president of which country? Perhaps there would be no country. That's how you must understand these things of handshake. To understand even Moi and Raila, you must go back 1992. 1990-91, Moi was isolated. Hata mwenyewe walisema wakati wa upepo mkali. But he managed to divide the original fort. And then proceeded to play Kibaki against Matiba. So he knew he would survive. In 1997, after surviving, the atmosphere was becoming bad. Because the opposition had learned that you divided, they will never defeat Kanu. So they were going to gang up against Moi. And Moi was going to be isolated. And as an isolated animal, like I said, he was going to be too dangerous at his age. And that must inform part of the engagement NDP with Raila had with Moi. Thinking big about the country. In 2007, those who were ravishing the country, where were they? We almost lost this country. Other countries have been lost in less serious circumstances. That's not true. Other countries have gone down the drain in much less serious circumstances. So a person who agrees to share his power, like Kibaki, we must celebrate him. A person who could lead the country. Raila was being forced by his people to be sworn in. At that time, the constitution just said by a judge, high court judge. Supposing Raila had accepted to be sworn in, would we have had a country? In 2017, those who forget, this country was torn down the middle. And there was talk of secession. Things were pretty bad in this country. You would board a matatu. I use matatu a lot. Even now I've come by matatu. You'd board a matatu. And you were just the only one or two people. And there were not even matatus coming to town. Things had gone that bad. This town was not even functional. What kind of country are we going to have if the handshake didn't happen? So what I'm saying is, let nobody rubbish or cheapen the handshake. It is born out of serious circumstances. And it is statesmen who like Uhuru would see, yes, I can cling to power. But what am I doing to the country? I could even finish my 5 years. But what kind of country will I leave to my successor? So you are agreeing to share your power is not a simple matter. And agreeing like Raila to let your victory go is also not a simple matter which we must cheapen. So these fellows, some of them are senior up there. I wonder whether they understand the situation that leads people into a compromise situation. Compromises are not always easy to arrive at in any situation. They're always very, very difficult. At this point, as I conclude, I must say this. Let us know that this country is hurting and divided. And it's up to the leaders of this country to know that this country can go on fire anytime. Why? We have half the country, and there are millions, unhappy with what is going on. You know that, eh? And hurting and in pain. The fact that people are quiet does not mean they're happy. This country has millions of people who are hurting. Let me also tell the government and the people like Raila, they may not know. This country has millions of people who are hurting and in pain, who believe the election was stolen. But the most serious part of it is that there are people in this country who have come to the conclusion that you can never get power in this country through constitutional and legal means. So they are either giving up or just burning inside. No country will be safe with the millions of people burning inside with such a rage in a manner to suggest that it's like we cannot do anything else. Finally, from those millions, there are hundreds of thousands of people in this country who are willing to die. You saw it in Uhuru Park during the swearing in of Raila. Who would have dared to go to Uhuru Park? Who? Except the daredevils. People, everybody knew, even me, I was actually in this studio on that morning with Miguna. And I was telling Miguna, I owe him an apology that nobody will go to Uhuru Park. Here, we left here at 8 with Miguna as he walked down. He wasn't even driving. He went through Intercontinental, then Uhuru Park. I knew nobody would go. The situation was so bad that going to Uhuru Park meant you didn't value your life. But people went. And therefore, leaders of this country, from both sides, and Raila and William Ruto, bravado will not help this country. They must sit down, like he's saying, even if it's in the back room. You can chest stamp, lakini huko nyuma, because the country is big, munaitana munaambia lakini hapa kita umana. Let's look at 2027. How do we go? I think I agree with it.